towers as our red Zerg, it is Lambo.
Going for the play from the book. Seems like it's going to be some sort of pool expand or a hatchery first. 64% win rate against Zerg. One of the stronger players in ZvZ in Heart of the Swarm as well. But here in the bottom, going for this one base opening that we talked about, it's ZvZ. One of the players that plays a very unique and different style in ZvZ, likes to go for the mutas more often than not, and sometimes even Nidus Swarms as well. So this is going to be Lambo, the standard textbook type of player, relying on great mechanics, going up against the crazy aggressive play from Bly.
Now, you asked me how I see these players differently. And in TvZ, I think it's fairly obvious, but in ZvZ, have you played them a lot?
Well, I have played them in Heart of the Swarm, and I would say that they are very different. I think Lambo would be the type of player to go for the more traditional Roach game and the more safe openings, and we can see that right here. Like, even if the expansion changed, even if this is Legacy of the Void, they still stick to their style, man.
It really does shine through, like the TY Bomber series as well. The way that they like to play the game, TY likes to approach the game as a defender, Bomber the aggressor.
You see, Bly is actually moving these Zerglings away from the Overlord path here, going a very, very far away route. And I think this is something Bly spent a lot of time thinking about, to just knowing how not to get seen by the Overlords here. So he's going to actually circumvent all of these. Lambo going for this additional Overlord. It's a little bit early, so he's going to have a lot of supply overhead and a very, very late Baneling Nest. And he doesn't see this Lynx yet. I think Lambo is going to be in trouble. He's still making drones.
So Bly with the sneaky, aggressive play. Also, that was quite smart. The timing of that Overlord just missed these Lynx sneaking around. So it's obvious that Bly has indeed thought about this build.
But here the two safety
Look at
Lynx.
this, he's even dodging again with the Lynx.
Oh, he doesn't see it. This is so bad for Lambo right now. These Lynx accomplish nothing. And it's not even, Lambo is not even making blind Zerglings. And here are the 4 Banelings, and the third Overlord from Lambo is nowhere to be seen. I don't even know where it is.
Oh,
now
Lambo
knows,
sniffed something.
The 2 Zerglings arrived, and they saw the reinforcements coming along, and now the Spine is on the way, the Zerglings are on the way, but Lambo doesn't even have a Baneling Nest, and the 3rd Queen only just started. This is going to be incredibly difficult here.
And these Queens are incredibly exposed.
They're
to
so
off-3.
exposed.
So that's one surround. Yes, he picks off a Baneling, a second Baneling too, but these Banelings now walking to the mineral line unopposed here, and nice splits by Lambo.
Very nice splits here, but look at this Zergling count, and the inject was not put on the hatchery either. Lambo was waiting for the transfusions, and now he has no larva left.
Oh.
Only in the natural, it seems like.
Yeah.
Couple of Lynx in productions, but there's no Banelings, and Lambo is just going to... He's just going to die here.
He's going to get murdered here. The drone's falling to these Lings. Still Banelings on the field, and GG is called. Oh.
In just a little more than 3 minutes, Bly takes the first game versus Lambo here with very clever unit movements, knowing where the Overlords go, usually, traditionally, circumventing them.
I'm super happy that the camera's like honed in on Bly's reaction
yeah,
there
like
too.
The fist bump.
Like, it's like some Russian probably being spouted out there. But yeah, that was
short and sweet.
I don't often see players celebrate in StarCraft. Never mind after single map wins. So,
but this tournament has been different, though.
Yeah, you got players like celebrating pre-game, trying to crush
the
cartons.
Gummy bears, crushing the can, fist bumps.
Yeah, even Dr. Dario did a few fist bumps as well in a previous series. I think it was against Lilbo, actually.
And Huck's victory speech.
Ah, yes.
That has to count as a celebration, right?
Lots of profanity, yes. Lots of different celebrations going on. But yeah, really nice to see that from Bly. That was obviously well calculated. I also like the fact that upon seeing the Overlord as well, even chose to buy more time. Even though it was only a matter of seconds that were bought, they were still seconds that paid dividends to his strategy.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure every single Zerg that's had to play ZvZ and face this build is wondering how does one actually deal with this, and it's just very, very difficult. It takes a lot of micro, but I'd like to point out that maybe Lambo made the 3rd Overlord when he probably shouldn't have, and the Baneling Nest could have been a lot sooner. I feel like the gas timing that he went for was also a little bit late. At some point, you definitely want to stabilize using a Baneling Nest of your own, and I think Lambo's build was just a tiny bit too greedy, and I'm not exactly going to call it a build order loss, but making such a late gas in combination with making more workers just delayed the technology way, way too much.
Okay.
And that's in the 3rd Overlord. It's like building an extra depot because you know the game is going to go longer. Building, I don't know how to make a good comparison, kind of like making an extra depot because you expect the game to go long and it's okay as long as you don't get cheesed. But then you do get cheesed, and it's like, man, that could have been a bunker, for example.
Expecting this against Bly, though?
I know. It's a bit weird.
Like, we both talked about these players' styles, and it's obvious that they pay attention to, or their styles shine through in each matchup.
For this, and it still keeps working. It's amazing.
So going on into the second game of the series, ZvZ currently 1-0 up, but spawning in the bottom right as our red Zerg, it is Lambo.
Representing Invasion Esports here, partnered with Spenu. And here in the top of Prime Terraces, it's ZvZ.
Aggressive little Ukrainian Bly sat there in his nice white Acer hoodie.
Known for his very, very unique openings and approaches to the different matchups. And now we're going to see something very unique. And I love this. It's so cruel. He's going for the gold base, but not in the position that you would expect. So if Lambo gets his Overlord over to ZvZ's gold, sees that there's no gold, it's like, oh my god, this has to be some sort of crazy one-base play again.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. And the only thing that you scout with at this stage in the game is an Overlord. So upon scouting that, hey, there's no gold base, hey, there's no natural either with that Overlord. No, I don't think the Overlord will even get that far.
Yeah, this gold base on the left-hand side is not going to get scouted. And Lambo is actually going for a safe pool expansion to the gold. This is so awkward. At first I was about to say, wow, Lambo is playing this so safely, so conservatively, going for the spawning pool and the extractor before expanding. But then he takes the gold. It's like, I can't help but feel that it's a little bit of a middle-of-the-road approach. But look at that gas timing also. Lambo started speed right away. This is definitely... It's not something he just came up with, and it's not a middle-of-the-road approach to him, I would assume. Like, this is a very calculated opening from him.
Yeah, usually middle-of-the-road builds kind of fall short against extreme builds, be it extreme aggression or extreme macro. So the fact that he's opting for this against a player that usually vows to play very, very aggressive, it's kind of weird.
And look at this. Bly is also making these 4 safety Zerglings. I'm not sure why exactly, but they're not going to have speed, at least not before Lambo Zerglings. So both these players, despite taking these greedy gold bases, are also making a lot of Zerglings just to stay safe, just to scout. And I think Lambo, honestly, I think he made those Zerglings and the additional 4 Zerglings that he's making now as well, because he doesn't know what we know. He doesn't know that Bly has a gold base on the left-hand side. Yeah. So Bly's build is working wonders here. Already a couple of drones ahead, but now Lambo finds the base, and this is the power of Zerglings. Bly will not be able to mine from here. He might even lose the Queen. That's going to be a disaster.
Loses a drone, loses the Queen. Yes, Lambo. He gets an inject off, but this is a real... And he's going to lose another drone by the looks of it too. In fact, no, it does get away.
And Lambo is making even more Zerglings, so he's going to shut down this base super hard. And this time around, Bly's the one who didn't put down the baneling nest.
Oh,
he doesn't have a baneling nest.
Zergling speed as well. He is going to get this drone and get out of there. So even though these Zerglings have all taken damage now, they can morph into banelings. Oh, and he even picks off quite a few low health or segregated Zerglings of his own.
If you want to win your games in ZvZ, especially when map layouts like this are involved, you don't really want to be playing without the baneling nest. Bly is going for the Roach Warren, aiming for a big Roach attack, but wow, 4 sneaky banelings as well. Lambo really looking to blow up the entire mineral line here, and he has more than enough lings and banelings here on the left-hand side to contest this ling army in a little bit.
I mean, this is really nice positioning by Bly, using the Queen as well to fight here, but those banelings, they're now running into
Here we go.
Oh,
Bly with the splits. Very nice splits though, and a little bit of mismanagement there from Lambo. But is it going to matter though?
I mean, that was definitely mishandled. I mean, 4 banelings.
Can't believe how well Bly is hanging on here. I feel like if those 4 banelings were part of the main army attacking the gold right now, there's no chance that these Zerglings here would have been able to fight that. So Lambo, he had the great build, he had the great transition, but he didn't use the banelings correctly, I feel. He didn't put the banelings where they should have been.
I mean, even if he did use them correctly in the main base, it would have been a better situation. Like, 2 of them seemed to blow up on the hatchery there.
Yeah,
like,
he could have gone for just one of the places, but instead chose to attack both places at once, and I think that was a mistake. But now he's actually out to run all of these roaches, and the banelings are actually going into the mineral line, but nice mineral walk here by Bly. Still a big stack though, but 1 baneling falls. That means, wow, so many red drones though. Can Lambo actually pick some of these off?
Oh my lord, Bly managed to keep most of them alive. Really great drone transfers here So keeping all those drones alive, and that is a good 8 red drones there. If all of those died, Bly would have certainly been out of the game.
This is a crazy, crazy game so far. Bly not really having any drones on this gold, and I'm not sure if Lambo does. Like, it's so difficult to know right now who's actually mining more in this game.
So the single Ravager.
Just 3 drones here on the gold, and Lambo seems to have a small mineral lead, but ZvZ, he went for the Roach Warren, so he has a little bit of a technology advantage, but will Lambo overpower the Roaches with Zerglings and Banelings alone?
It's so incredibly close. At this point in time, Bly adding on the Ravager rather than adding on more Roaches. Why do you see that? Just because he had a gas surplus?
Oh, and Lambo is actually, he's getting attacked at the front, but also counter-attacking in the main of ZvZ. Losing so many links at the front though to the Roaches and Ravagers. This counter-attack is picking off a big chunk of ZvZ's economy, but will Lambo be able to defend? He has twice the worker count right now.
Oh, I think... Oh, this is getting really tight.
Round,
nice around. The Banelings, are they going to get good connects to? Pretty... Oh, they're still wobbling around.
It doesn't matter. Lambo has too much, and the counterattack succeeded. Bly down to 0 workers, has to tap out. Nice comeback there from Lambo.
Yeah, it was nice. Like, the build order of Bly, he tried to get up that gold base, but it got scouted out by Lambo's Lings, and almost forcing Lambo to be curious about his one-base build just made Lambo build even more Lings, which ended up scouting the base that he wanted to hide for so long. So almost by tricking Lambo.
He also kind of tricked himself. Like
yeah, he tricked Lambo into making the right call.
Yeah, he showed Lambo that there was nothing. Lambo was forced into making a lot of Zerglings, but then Bly didn't have the Zerglings or the Banelings to defend against those Zerglings, and I feel like Lambo definitely could have won this game a lot sooner if he didn't try to attack both bases simultaneously. He could have easily just taken all the Banelings, but then again, I think Lambo maybe did not expect Bly not to have a Baneling nest. It's very unusual not to play with a Baneling nest.
And one thing that I have to commend Lambo on, or rather Bly on, the fact that he's mixing up his builds a lot.
Yeah.
Like going into this series, when you have a series as long as a best of 5, Bly has already shown that, hey, I'm unpredictable. And Lambo, so far, he's not done anything out of the realm of ordinary, you know, whereas Bly, every game so far, it's been a one-base all-in, circumvented the Overlords on the way to his base very, very cleverly. Even this map, there was definitely some serious thought behind what he was doing. So I'm looking forward to see what he does in the rest of this series.
And the next map now is going to be Orbital Shipyard. It's chosen by Lambo. It's probably more of the a bit more of a straightforward map, I would say. It's a 2-player map. You don't have that 4-player map randomness, and there's no gold bases. Much like Dusk Towers, it has this in-base expansion. So
preferred build of Snoot on this map?
I believe Hatch First is actually quite strong on this map, assuming that you don't lose to the one-base all-in that Bly won with in the first game. It's still such a powerful build, I have to say, because you can run straight into the main as well. And there's still, even if the in-base expansion is in-base, there's still a little bit of creep. There's still a little bit of a place where there's no creep. So it's a little tricky. It's a little vulnerable. It's a little bit tricky to defend with queens. It's a very open space right in front of the ramp leading out to the rest of the map, where there's also no creep. So on a lot of traditional maps where you could place 2 queens on the very top of the ramp, you can't really do that here on this map. It's a little bit like Dusk Towers in that regard. You saw that Lambo, he had the 2 queens on the top, but they were separated.
They were not
blocking. They didn't make it there on time. Like, that's how early this build hits. Will Bly do it again? It seems like it, but here in the top, maybe he's going to have to defend again. It's Lambo.
Good old Lambo took a nice, neat win in game 2. And spawning over in the bottom left, resorting back to old tricks. It is ZvZ.
Going for that one-base opening, which is so much more powerful in Legacy of the Void compared to Heart of the Swarm and compared to Wings of Liberty. This was a build style that we saw a lot in 2 versus 2 games, and we also saw it a lot on back when Tal'Darim Altar was in the map pool for those old school players. Good old 4-gate map, good old one-base Zergling Baneling versus Zergling Baneling map.
Snoot playing 2v2 on the ladder, eh?
Yeah. Good
wow,
old
those
days.
poor bronze souls that run into Liquid Snoot on the ladder. Can't even imagine. So these builds, you've got the safe, or not even safe, you've got the hatchery in the back of the base. You have a spawning pool going up, the gas. Who do you favor in this situation?
It's very difficult, because if Lambo manages to defend perfectly, then he should end up ahead. But it takes incredible control, great baneling sniping, splits and more.
I'd just like to add, like,
and he's making the Overlord again. He's making the third Overlord, and this means that he's going to have this supply overhead, which he will not be able to use, and he's going to have an additional larva that's not going to be a circling, and he makes another drone.
Right, but Bly...
it's just a speedling expand.
There was no gas mining going on all this time.
And this is the scary part for Lambo.
He won't know what the hell is happening.
He doesn't know. Like, Bly showed in the first game, he showed the speedling baneling variation, and in Lambo's shoes, you can't know what exactly is coming your way. And once again, Bly is hiding these circlings, so it's impossible for Lambo to know how to react.
It's smart to play a series like this, it really is. Even though you don't necessarily play your strongest style, you might mixing it up is way scary, because you force your opponent into playing honest and not taking shortcuts that he knows he can take. And
Lambo is playing so greedy, going for the Roach Warren, and now he sees the circlings and he has to be thinking, oh no, the Queen's not in position, just drones to defend against so many speedlings. And it doesn't matter if Bly doesn't have banelings, like this is still such a strong attack.
Man, focusing down both of the Queens here, he's not rebuilding the Queens just yet. One of the Queens is in production now in the natural.
He can't, because he spent so much money on the Overlord and spent resources on the Roach Warren. That could have been a Queen, but it's a Roach Warren, and even if it completes, Roaches, you can't make Roaches if you don't have any minerals, if you don't have any drones, you can't stay in this game. And it seems like Bly, this is not even all in. He's taking a hatchery, perfectly solid and reasonable opening here from ZvZ in Legacy of the Void. This is not an all-in, but if Lambo doesn't use a proper build, then it looks like it's an all-in. It feels like that. It's that strong.
I'm almost... Okay,
Goes up 2-1.
Okay, there. I was sad that we didn't get the immediate zoom. Oh, there.
Yeah, no, right. Still hyped. Still hyped.
Still hyped. Still calm. Cold hands, you know, trying to warm those bad boys up. People tend to think that players, when they play games, their hands get hot because they're like constantly moving their fingers and stuff.
No.
They get ridiculously cold.
If you're very nervous, you can really feel it.
Yes.
The hands get so cold, and it's nothing like sitting at home where, let's say, if you're playing an online tournament and you get nervous, you can have a cup of tea, you can maybe I don't know, you can turn off the heat in your room.
What else do you do, Snoot?
You can just it's a very different environment here. It's
also
a little bit
cold here.
Yeah, it's quite cold. So especially in the high pressure situations like this, if you're going to defend against banelings, having those micro skills on point is extra important when you have these cold fingers.
Now Bly, after winning that game, and both games he won, by the way, have been ridiculously smooth.
Ridiculously aggressive.
Yeah.
And pretty convincing.
Yeah, so going into the fourth game of this series, what map do we have?
Arena, the smallest map in the map pool.
Now, if there's a map that I wouldn't want to play Bly on, I'd imagine this might be one of them, or a 4-player map, given that I'd probably not scout him first and get super unlucky.
Yeah, but at least on the 4-player map, you can kind of predict that it's likely for Bly to open up with a 1-base. But on the 2-player map, Arena in particular, much like Scrap Station, the bases are so close next to each other, so the Overlords will arrive very early on in the game, and you will be able to see what the other player is doing. So maybe Lambo is thinking, all right, if Bly is doing something special here, I will be able to see it, and then if I see it, then I should be able to defend it, right? But that's not always how it works.
You're totally right. Now, given that Bly is so aggressive, almost shamelessly so, and can play a macro style as well, that we saw him kind of trying to elude Lambo, like by going for the outer gold base that you don't normally take, like the natural 4th, I guess.
Yeah.
What's a build that you would resort to using against Bly? Because so far he's been capable of anything. And
we'll see. This is shaping up very similarly. But here in the bottom of Arena, it is Lambo. Has to win 2 more maps now if he wants to keep his tournament dreams alive here at DreamHack. And in the top, going for the same type of play, despite being scouted very shortly, it's ZvZ. Looking very calm, but we know he just wants to raise his fists and pump them in the air after his victory.
And yes, so far the exact same build that he's been doing, even with the extractor trick here.
Just a minor variation, but it's still the same concept. The 1-base speedling could be also banelings, but a 1-base build nonetheless.
Lambo also opting for a 1-base opening here. Much later speed though, and much later pool. Does look like he will opt for a hatchery with this pretty early on?
I would believe so. You gain a little bit of minerals by delaying your gas, by delaying your spawning pool. The drones stay alive a little bit longer, and you know, the sacrifice to build this building. So Lambo is going to have a little bit extra minerals to work with.
Continuous gas mining too, with 3 drones, not just 2.
Yeah, so this is going to be speedling, baneling pressure. And on a map like Arena, where the rush distance is so short, I like this a lot, because even if Lambo goes for pool first, it's still going to be very difficult to hold this natural base. And I think upon scouting that this is in fact a 1-base build from Bly, and Lambo is actually in danger of losing this Overlord. If it's not careful, this Overlord might get sniped by the very quick pull from Bly.
He got to scout everything though. He got to see that the drones are still on gas. He got to see the speed.
And I think this is its tiny bit greedy from Lambo, not going for the baneling nest straight away. He had the resources, he had the gas, he could very easily start a baneling nest to actually try to catch up to Bly's baneling nest timing. If you're up 1 base, you don't need your Zerglings to be the quickest. You have the Queen, and if you have the Queen and the baneling, then you can fight off Speedlings easy peasy, even if you don't have your own Speedlings. So I think Lambo wants to forfeit this base, maybe cancel it, and try to somehow survive against the baneling aggression, but this base is forfeit for sure, and I'm very concerned for Lambo at this stage.
He doesn't even have a baneling. Oh, now his baneling nest started, but this is ridiculously late. His speed's going to finish later. He actually has the hatchery up, and now he just lost a lot of Zerglings, and Bly...
Lambo is using the very standardized timings that you would use against Hatch first, but this is not Hatch first. This is 1-base build from Bly. A very smart choice for the tournaments. It's a high-pressure situation. It's way easier to play 1 base.
That's a lot of baneling damage being done, and the Queen trying to snipe the banelings, but the banelings running into the drones. Just a few drones falling. In fact, lots of drones.
So many
low.
red drones, and they get picked off by the Zerglings. 5 drones going down. Not too bad. It could be far worse for Lambo.
But more Lynx join the fray.
This base is not going to survive, and even if Lambo holds here, he's losing mining time, loses even more drones. 7 workers, and Lambo is behind in the drone count. And sure, the worker difference is only 5, but Lambo is losing his only advantages in this game. He's about to lose his natural.
Oh, nice sniping by Lambo on the banelings, though. Even nice splitting up his Zerglings, so microing his little hard out.
He's just rubbing it in right now. He didn't have to go for that mineral line, but he chose to do it anyway. And once he actually eliminates this Queen, and then he can take down the hatchery, Bly can target anything right now because he's so far ahead, and his opening just works.
GG and Bly. Massive relief.
Super happy there that the 1-base build worked out. Not the correct build orders to bring to the tournament from Lambo against a player like Bly. You want to play far more conservatively, and especially when you scout the early speed, you don't go for speed yourself because the other player took his gas far earlier. You have to get that baneling nest ASAP in order to hold on to that base.
Well, thank you, Snoot. Like, I learned a lot of ZvZ just from you talking about it. But yeah, Bly.
I have to say, though, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't